The Chicago Bulls trade deadline really PMO. Yeah, I know I usually make music content, but I am also a basketball fan. I love basketball and I love football, so I'll probably make football content soon. But yeah, I love basketball, so I really wanted to go over this. My favorite team is the Chicago Bulls, so I really wanted to go over specifically the Chicago Bulls, especially because they were active this trade deadline, and they usually are not. Fun fact: the Chicago Bulls have not made a trade at the trade deadline since 2021, I think. Yeah, they weren't active from 2022 to 2025. I'm pretty sure that that's the right stat. Um, but yeah, so now that they have been active, I just want to let you guys know that this trade deadline definitely PMO, and I didn't love everything here, but we'll go over it. We'll go over it. Okay, so I have a list of the trades here that I wanted to go through. I don't know if they're all in order or not, but I mean, we're just gonna go through them. So we had Nikola Vucevic in a 2027 second round pick, which was Denver's, that we traded to Boston in exchange for Anthony Simons and a 2026 second. So we traded a second for a second. We're just getting the one that we got now. We're getting earlier, which is going to be at the end of this season, and then we traded Simons for Vucevic. Um, I love this trade for the Celtics. I think it's a good trade. I feel like Vooch has been a little underrated since being in Chicago. I know that first season he was there, or like the first like season and a half he was there, he was not very good, but he's really locked in. I feel like the last couple of years, and people just have not been privy to that for whatever reason. They have not paid attention to him locking in. Um, so I do think Boston's getting them one of them ones. And just to give up Anthony Simons, who you weren't gonna keep anyway. I mean, that's a deal for the Chicago Bulls. I don't love this. I mean, I guess it's nice that the second round pick we're getting is earlier. I mean, it's Denver and Boston, so like they were probably gonna be lower second round picks anyway, no matter which one it was. But still, I don't love swapping seconds, and then I don't know what the plan for Anthony Simons is. I feel like they brought him in with the idea of flipping him immediately during the same trade deadline, but they did not. So he's still on the roster, which is fine, I guess. So the next trade we're going to talk about is Kobe White and Mike Conley Jr. We shipped to Charlotte in exchange for Colin Sexton, Usman Dang, and 3 second-round picks. Um, Yeah, this one hurt a lot. I absolutely love Kobe White as a Chicago Bulls fan. He's been one of my favorite players on the team. He actually was my favorite player on the team until Matas Buzelis came around. Um, yeah, absolutely love Kobe White. But yeah, it sucks to see him go. 3 second-round picks is nice, but it's also like we couldn't get not one first for Kobe. And then it takes me back to like if we were to trade Kobe last year during the trade deadline, I think we would 100% at least gotten one first for Kobe because he was playing that well. And this just seems to be a common theme for the Chicago Bulls front office. They just hold on to players for way too long, way longer than they should until their value is completely diminished. But yeah, 3 second-round picks, it's better than nothing, I guess. And then we got Colin Sexton back and Usman Dang. Usman Dang, coming into the NBA, I thought he was going to be like a Paul George archetype. And I was excited to have him in Chicago, which we'll get to in a little bit. But then we got Colin Sexton, which I think he's still on the roster. Let me check. Yeah, Colin Sexton is still on the roster. I'm surprised they didn't flip him. I don't know why they didn't want to flip him. Kind of feel the same way about him as I do about Anthony Simons. I'm just like, why did we not just flip these guys? I don't understand. I don't know. So the next trade was Kevin Herter and Dario Saric to Detroit in exchange for Jaden Ivey, Mike Conley Jr., and a 2026 first round pick. Or first round swap with Detroit, which I'm guessing, I don't know the full details of this one, but I'm guessing we got the better of the pick. Um, but anyway, yeah, I mean, Detroit, like this is appropriate because you kind of had to get Ivy off. I mean, you didn't have to get Ivy off of your roster, but like he was kind of just taking up a roster spot. He wasn't really getting play. He wasn't really doing much of anything. Even whenever he was out there, he just didn't look the same. Which he might just need a change of scenery. So I'm glad he was able to get out. I don't think Kevin Herter and Dario Saric is a bad return for that. It's not probably the best you could have gotten. But Kevin Herter, he's been really starting to turn it around lately. He hasn't been a great shooter for Chicago since coming in, but lately he has really been starting to turn that around. So I do think Detroit will fully get him turned around. And I think he'll be a nice addition. And then for the Bulls here, I actually don't hate this one. I don't love that we had to do a swap, a first round swap, but I mean, like I said, I think we'll get the better of the pick anyway. Um, and then Jaden Ivey, I'm actually optimistic about. I think he could still be a good NBA player. I know he hasn't been great this year. He hasn't gotten a ton of run either, though, so it's not really that fair to him. But I still think Ivy could be a good NBA player, and maybe that's just me being an optimist because I'm a Chicago Bulls fan, which it probably definitely is. But I have to have some type of silver lining at this trade deadline. I don't love, again, I just don't love everything we did. But yeah, so my hope is that Jaden Ivey can still end up being a good or maybe even great player. Maybe he can be a superstar. I don't know. We didn't end up holding on to Mike Conley Jr., which I think we'll get to in a tiny bit. Yeah, we should. But anyway, let's move on to the next trade. This one hurt so freaking bad. Io DeSumo and Julian Phillips to Minnesota for Rob Dillingham, Leonard Miller, and 4 second round picks. It's nice that we got 4 second round picks out of Minnesota, but Io losing Io to Sumu hurts. I absolutely love Io as a Bulls fan. I mean, he's homegrown, like he's from the Chicago area, and then he ended up being a Bull, and then he ended up being like an actual like good NBA player. He's not like a great player, you know. You're not gonna build your team around him, but I think he's a player that like all contending teams or all teams that want to win a championship should want on their team because he can like he's gritty, he can do like just about everything, not a high level, but he can, he's a pretty solid shooter. He's a great uh he's a good defender. Yeah, he can do just about everything. He's not a bad ball handler. He can play the 1 through 3. So yeah, he's a really good player. I was hoping to keep him around. I know he's a little older, so like keeping him around, I mean, he's not that old. I think he's like 24 maybe, but like I know keeping him around for a rebuild maybe wasn't the most realistic thing, and maybe he wouldn't have wanted that. But still, this one hurts to see. But getting Rob Dillingham in return is not also a bad silver lining. I kind of feel the same way about him as I do about Jaden Ivey. Like maybe they just needed a change of scenery, especially because Rob Dillingham came in to a team that wanted to compete right now in Minnesota. And one thing that they really needed filled was that point guard position. So they were hoping that he could develop fast, and he just hasn't. But again, maybe he just needs to be on a team that can, help him relax a little bit. Can say, hey, we don't care about winning. So just go out there and develop. Do your thing. Miss shots, make shots, do whatever. Just be yourself and go develop out there. So the next one was Dalen Terry to the New York Knicks in exchange for Gershon Yabusele. Dalen Terry, again, I think this guy just needed to change the scenery. He just wasn't doing great here in Chicago, but I also acknowledge Chicago is not great at developing their players at all whatsoever. Um, yeah, so I'm actually glad he could get out because maybe he can actually develop somewhere in New York, and maybe he can get some PT. I don't know, maybe, probably not because they're trying to contend to. But I actually do like getting Gershon Yabusele back. I know he wasn't great this year after having a pretty damn good season last season. But Yabusele has been one of my favorite players on the low for a minute. I don't know why. I just love Gershon Yabusele. So yeah, I don't hate this. The next one we have here, also, I know I mentioned like, are we going to bring up Mike Conley later? I brought him up before with the Kobe White and Mike Conley to Charlotte, and then I mentioned the Mike Conley Kevin Huerter one after. Yeah. But anyway, Usman Dang went to Milwaukee in exchange for Nick Richards from Phoenix. Yeah, this was a 3-team deal. Um, so yeah, we got Usman Dang, the guy that I was a little optimistic about again. I was like, man, oh, did we get the next Paul George in Chicago? No, he's in Milwaukee now. And yeah, we got Nick Richards back, which is kind of nice. Nick Richards is a solid center. Like he really is a solid five. And we need a five desperately, as we will get to in a little bit. But yeah, Nick Richards is a solid five for sure. Um, the only the only bad part, I guess, is that he's 28 years old, so he is on the older side or like getting older. um, which kind of sucks. I actually didn't know he was that old. I didn't know he came into the league so old. But yeah, still Nick Richards is solid. He can, he can do the job for now. He can make us a little competent on the inside for now. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. I think one of the first trades we did was Emmanuel Miller to Sacramento for Dario Saric and 2 second round picks. Which one of those second round picks, the Denver one, ended up being used in the Vucevic trade to get Anthony Simons in here. But yeah, that's just kind of like a whatever trade. I mean, we got 2 second round picks out of it for Emmanuel Miller, so I guess that's cool. And they just salary dumped Sarge onto us, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, we got 2 seconds out of that. So something that I'm really confused about is post trade deadline. We have so many guards. My goodness, like this is actually crazy. Let me just read to you the names that we have at point guard. We've got Rob Dillingham, Josh Giddey, Jaden Ivey, Trey Jones, Yuki Kawamura, Mac McClung. We just picked them up. Colin Sexton and Anthony Simons at guard. Crazy. And it's really wild because a lot of these guys are actually like talented enough to get run on other teams, but they might not get run here because it's so freaking stacked. Like Rob Dillingham, I think needs minutes just for his own development's sake. Josh Giddey, we should have traded him. I don't know why we kept him. Jaden Ivey, I think he also needs minutes just for his own development's sake. Trey Jones is good enough, like well good enough to receive minutes. Same thing with Yuki. I also just love seeing Yuki Kawamura on the court in general. Mac McClung, I'm not really sure why we brought him up. I don't think he'll get any minutes, to be completely honest with you. Kind of confusing why we did that. Colin Sexton is definitely good enough to be getting buckets off the bench. Same thing for Anthony Simons. Like, where are all these guys going to play? Like, what is the idea here? Um, I'm just not seeing it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, we do have Isaac Okoro, Matas Buzelis at forward. Noah Senge hasn't gotten any minutes. Zach Collins is hurt, so maybe that opens up Rob Dillingham playing the three or something. Um, and through all of this, after all of this trading and networking Chicago just did, we still have Patrick Williams on our roster, which has to be the most frustrating part, in my opinion. I mean, like, why? I mean, I know nobody wants him, but still, like, dude, can we get off of Patrick? Can we like cut him or something? Like, I'm so tired of seeing him on this roster. He's already 24 years old, and he's the same player he was when he was 18 years old. I'm so tired of seeing him on this roster, bro. But yeah, I'm not sure what the idea here is in Chicago. I was joking around with my friends, but I kind of low key do want to see like us have like a 4 point guard and Montas Buzelis lineup. Like maybe like okay, let me see. Like maybe we can have like a Rob Dillingham, Josh Giddey, Jaden Ivey, and Anthony Simons lineup with Matas Buzelis playing the five. I don't know. I don't know with all this experimenting going on. Um, I'd like to see something like that maybe. The bright side to this though is that we are finally going to lose games with all of these guards and not really any of them being that great defensively either. We're finally going to lose games, which is going to be so freaking nice. I'm actually so glad that we're going to be losing games, especially because we still own our own first round pick for this year. We were a coin flip away from getting Cooper Flag, so I'm hoping that good or bad luck charm, I guess, can end up us getting a first overall pick this year, maybe. Now, here's the weird thing though, which I might make a video about this later. But like, if we get the first overall pick, I low key do want Darren Peterson, which I know you're like, why would you want a guard at first when you have all these guards you literally just named? I think Darren Peterson is the truth. Like, dead. I know AJ and Cam Boozer are great as well. I like them. I like them as prospects. I think they'll end up being great players. But I think Darren Peterson is going to be above them. But anyway, I mean, I'd be happy with AJ. Honestly, we'd probably be more appropriate if we got Cam or AJ. Um, or even like Caleb Wilson. I'd be happy with like a Caleb Wilson because we need a true four. Matas has been playing the four, but I think he fits better at the three personally. So I'd like a true four to really hone in on that. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to do. We can talk about like trade and stuff later, or not trade. We can talk about the draft and stuff later, and what the Bulls might do with their picks. I don't know. They do have a ton of second round picks following this, which again, if you didn't hold on to all those guys for so long, you could have got first out of Kobe, and maybe even Io, and maybe even Vooch. Actually, I'm not. Take Io back because I never wanted Io to be traded. But you could have got first out of Kobe and Vooch. But yeah, thank you for watching. Appreciate you guys for staying. Yeah, peace out.